Okay, so right now, today, I just want to spend some time, and we're going to spend the next couple of days. I don't want us to use the body triangle in the back for now, just because there are basically two different methods of control when someone's on your back. There's control with the feet and control with the upper body. And I want to focus just on this for the next couple of days, okay? So just make sure that we can get this in some way secure, and then we're going to worry about how to use the get rid of the bottom control, and then how to combine them. So you actually kind of have, let's switch after all. You actually have sort of, I think, basically the way you can control the upper body can be kind of broken down into four different ways. One is your seatbelt with the choking arm up, your seatbelt with the choking arm down, double under body lock, or the straight jacket. Okay, and every one of these has some advantages and disadvantages, and that's what you're going to need to figure out and to use when you're trying to get out of these positions. So if you don't understand what the control has as a benefit and what it has as a disability, then it's going to be very hard to get out. So let's just start with choking arm on bottom. This is actually going to be something a lot of people are going to prefer. Because if I have the choking arm on bottom, this makes it easier for me to start choking. Okay? The advantage I have is that the choke I can get a nice deep grip here. This arm is free, and I can use this to start reinforcing my rear naked choke. So if you're on bottom, the advantage for you on the back is this choking arm. I'm not even needing to choke, and I can get a really deep grip here. Okay? So this is one of your primary advantages to having the choking arm on the bottom. The disadvantage is I don't actually have as much control with this arm now. Because in order for him to get out of this choke, he needs to go with his back to the mat, and which he can do that really easy because I control him going this way really well. But if he turns into me, that actually works pretty easy. Exactly. Yeah, okay. So that's going to be the first thing we're just going to kind of look at. So no, switch it over. So there's lots of stuff people can do. Rule number one and priority number one, whenever you see an arm over your shoulder, immediately control, at the very least, the wrist. If you can get a grip, control the hand. But like if he's holding like he is right now, where this hand is over this hand, I'm not going to get to the hand, so I want to control the wrist. Okay, and really important, I don't want to do this kind of a grip, because if Jan just pulls his arm up, he's going to break that grip. Okay, what I want to do, I call this a sloth grip. It's like a sloth holding onto a tree, just kind of hanging there. And you don't want to grab with your fingers, you really want to kind of grab wrist deep. Okay, I'm grabbing most of this with bone actually now. So now if he tries to go for my throat, come on, everything's got Okay, this is really, I mean, you could, but this is a really strong grip. This is hard. This is going to buy me a lot more time than if I'm trying to do something like this. If I'm holding like this, the hole in my grip is right in the direction he wants to go. Okay? So whenever you're trying to control the top arm, never use a human grip, use a sloth grip. Okay? Make him go through skin and bone and not through your fingers. Okay? So that's rule number one. And either he's going to put you on this side or you put yourself on this side. And here is where things get kind of interesting. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring our hand up, and we want to turn it palm up towards us so that our thumb is pointing towards him. And notice that I have active feet. Okay, I'm not like this. Okay, I'm actually active on my feet because what I need to do now is I'm going to slip the shoulder in between us like this. Okay, try to choke.
That's really helpful, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. The minute you can get the shoulders out of alignment, because for the rear naked, okay, a lot of theory right now. So for the rear naked, he needs our shoulders aligned. The minute my shoulders aren't aligned with his anymore, the choke's gone. Okay, okay? I'm not saying this is pleasant. He can give you he can make your ears ring a bit with a nice good crush, but you're not going to go to sleep is what I'm saying. And we're kind of using that here. So I can slip my shoulder in, and when I got my shoulder slipped, now I don't need to defend with this hand anymore. I can use that to remove the hooks and come back on top. Okay? This is something Craig Jones did this in Iceland. He has also a really good explanation on his instructional, I think it's called Edging Out of Danger. So, but this is right now kind of my go-to escape when I have the choking arm on bottom. I do this all the time, drives people crazy. So, just to show it again, so like I said, bring your feet to your butt, so you can get it, if he's not taking you to that side, so that you can force him to that side. Hand up, turn the palm up, and twist your back to the mat and slip the shoulder in. That takes our shoulders out of alignment. I'm no longer in choking danger. I can push the foot out, get rid of that hook, and just an easy way to come up is I just kick with this foot over, wrap this arm over his head at the same time, and I can come up into half guard. Like this. Then we can start going into our half guard passing, which we spent so much time working on. Okay? Is that clear to everyone? Anyone need to see that again? No? Okay, so let's work on that for a bit. So we are going to be doing a lot of repetition with stuff like this, so I want to make sure that by the end of a month or two that it's going to be really hard to keep someone on your back. We've done some repetitions. It's not looking that bad, but two things I kind of noticed everyone doing, okay? First of all, the control hand, okay, for the choke. Never control here, okay? Yeah, because he can still choke me like that, okay? This is a bad control. You want to control as close to the hand as possible, okay? So if your arm, even if it's right here, he can still pull that back in, okay? At the very least, you want to feel his wrist joint in your hand. If you can't do that with your control hand, you don't have good control, okay? So point number one. So I'll never do this because remember you need this arm to slip. So this arm has to be low on this. You can start here and replace. That's okay, but always have your control hand on his wrist. Okay? Don't have your control hand up here. This is useless. He can choke me anyway. Okay? So and also, I said this to everyone, but I just wanted to make sure I had it on video as well. When you're going to the side, we're not just kind of doing this. Because I can still do the shoulder slip like this, but I've made my job harder because I haven't done as much setup, and I have to twist a bit more to get that shoulder slip. What you want to do is when you go to your side, go ahead, bring this foot in, and actively push your shoulder out this way, because now my shoulder is already out of alignment now. Okay, it's still possible for him to choke me, but it's going to be much harder now. And also, this kind of brings his whole choking arm a bit shorter, essentially. I've shortened the arm, so now if he tries to choke me, yeah, I have a lot more control. I have a lot more power now. It's going to be a lot harder for him to choke me now. Okay, again, not impossible, but much harder. And also, I'm already about halfway through the shoulder slip, so this is now a lot easier. Okay, so kind of note those 2 points. So actively start turning as you go to the side and control that wrist, that arm as close to the hand as possible. At the very least, you want your hand on his wrist. Okay, never do it. Even if we're like this, now he's gonna choke me. Okay, so those 2 points, kind of keep those in mind as you're doing this. So really, that wrist control, that's what's keeping you from getting choked. Okay, that's your first priority, and pulling yourself out of alignment is then what's going to keep you out of danger. Okay? So just want to get those 2 minutes. A little bit of hand fighting. So something when he's on your back. Okay? So I was saying earlier you want to be able to get on the wrist of the opponent. Well, we've had a couple of situations here. What if he's basically grabbing his own wrist? No. Underhook. Yeah. And now I can't really get on the wrist. Okay? What I can do is I can use my own hand to support, shove his hand a bit out of the way. Now I get on the wrist. Okay? And really important, I don't want to try and doing like this because this is a weak grip for me. Okay, I do not have a lot of power like this. I can push like this. I'm not going to shove his arm down. I like to take my hand sort of like this, and I can use my other hand to support, and I shove down. Now I have a nice strong grip. Okay, so I'm not doing this. This is not going to work. Theoretically, he could actually probably get an arm lock on me like this. This is not good for me. Okay, so don't try to move his hands down like this when he's got a nice grip on his wrist. Come in. I'm sort of putting this part of my hand between his hand and and the wrist on the other arm. And instead of trying to shove it down, I'm using this hand to pull that down, and that's shoving his other hand down, and now I get that wrist. Okay? So a bit of hand fighting on the back to get that wrist control. Okay? So this is the minimum. If he's covered his hand, my main point is if he covers his wrist, don't think, oh well, then I'll just grab here, because that's what he wants. Yeah. He wants me to have a weaker control, because now he's going to be able to power through that and choke me. And that's not what I want. So bring your hand in, grab, shove it down, expose the wrist, and then get to the wrist. Okay? And I don't start my escape until I have this, because the escape doesn't matter if he can choke you. Okay? So just a little detail I wanted to add, just because I kept seeing, again, never accept anywhere in here. If he's covering his wrist, then shove his hand out of the way and go to the wrist. But you always want to, at the very least, be on his wrist, if not lower. Okay? And just to give you an idea of, just like sit down. No, just like sit down. Okay. So like for control, if I have his arm here, move your hand. Yeah, see, he has a lot of control. I can't really control. No. That's how much more control I have the further down I go. If I can go even further,
I don't even want to move my hand.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so the further down on the arm you have, the more leverage you have, the more power you have, and the less strength you need to control his arm. Okay. So just general rule of thumb, try to get as low on that arm as you can as possible. Yeah.
When you're taking the back, so you've got your arm that goes over the shoulder, is the grip that the other arm is grabbing this arm?
Yeah, you generally want that, because if I'm, let me do it another way. So because again, my goal is the opposite of your goal. Yep. Your goal is to get as far down on this choking arm as possibly.
Got it.
If I grab like this, he can immediately grab my thumb.
Got it.
So that's why I on my side, don't want to grab like this. I actually want to grab above my wrist for that exact reason. Okay. Because now if he tries to grab my wrist, he has it harder. So now he has to start hand fighting and shoving my hand out of the way.
Okay.
So again, my job is to make, again, not right now because we're drilling and trying to learn technique. We'll do sparring later, but my job as the person on his back is to make it as hard as possible for him to get off my back. And if I do this, I've given him half the fight because he can automatically grab my hand. Okay?